Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill late Monday night. Not one, not two, but three commitments coming out of the transfer portal for this Michigan program. And it's funny because we just did an episode talking about some of these targets, and now they're committed coming to Ann Arbor heading into 2025. And it's a kind of fun episode for both of us to do. Dill, you're a big TJ Metcalf guy. You've been a big fan of TJ Metcalf for the last couple of weeks, and I'm a big fan of Brady Norton, the offensive tackle coming over from Cal Poly. Want to take a deep dive into some of these prospects coming to Michigan, get into a little bit of the film of TJ Metcalf, because this is a guy that, although he's only going into year 3 of his college football career, brings a lot of diversity to this Michigan secondary, which is a premium under Wink Martindale. I mean, we all saw it in 2024. This is a complex defense that uses a lot of different personnel in a lot of different ways. Having a guy like TJ Metcalf, who again, I think is one of those, chess pieces in the back end, that's massive. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, to the Michigan fans, it's been a blast talking this program. We say it all the time. The amount of support the Michigan fans have shown the boys has been amazing. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Will not be the last time we're breaking down some commitments from Michigan in the portal. Appreciate you guys, Dill. You're the TJ Metcalf guy, and so I'm just going to give you the T-box, sell the people on what TJ Metcalf brings to the table for Michigan.
I mean, I think the big thing from a macro point of view is I think a guy with a lot of experience, but not a super old guy. And you look like last year, Michigan kind of had to bring in a lot of guys with a lot of experience, but that also came with redshirt seniors, guys who are kind of in their final year, and kind of guys who were what they were at that point. That's not necessarily a criticism, because a guy like Amir Hall was awesome. Wesley Walker was solid for Michigan, but I look at a guy like TJ Metcalf, I think his ability to kind of come in and make an instant impact, combined with the fact that he should be around for a couple of years, hopefully, I think is a kind of a better situation, I would say, than probably what happened last year, where it was a lot of guys who were almost those only 1-year rentals. I like the idea of some continuity. I like the fact that he's going to come in and I think be an instant impact guy. I think that combination is probably better for the long-term kind of run, if you will. For
Agreed. And this is a concept that I'm starting to really buy into, and that is when you're evaluating these kids out of the transfer portal, the guys that are going to be 5th or 6th-year seniors, you're kind of right. Like, you don't see guys make massive jumps going into year 6 of their college football career. A guy like TJ Metcalf, played over 730 snaps in the SEC as a true sophomore. He's only going into year 3, so he brings you that known commodity experience. This is also a guy that could take a really big jump going into year 3. The thing that I love most about TJ Metcalf is the versatility. So we talked about 730 snaps on the defensive side of the football deal. Those snaps were all over the place. 335 as a box safety, 300 as a free safety, another 100 as a nickel cornerback. He's playing that single high look. He's coming up and supporting the run in the box, which I think is his best asset that he brings to Michigan. He's also really good at man coverage, which is something that I think is very important in the Wink Martindale defense. Wink Martindale, what do we know about Wink Martindale? He wants to bring pressure. And when you bring pressure, you're normally playing some sort of man coverage behind that a lot of the times. And a lot of times your safeties have to hold up in man coverage. TJ Metcalf, he led Arkansas with 7 pass breakups. He led Arkansas with 3 interceptions, knows how to operate in man coverage. And you kind of get into some of the film you sent me over. I'll let you take it away here. Actually, I'll probably do it since I'm in control of the video here. TJ Metcalf coming down. You got trips to the field side. 1, we got to communicate. And 2, TJ Metcalf's got to run with Noah Thomas down the field in man coverage. If you're Marcel Reed here, you're attacking that 10 times out of 10. TJ Metcalf staying in phase, right in the hip pocket, really, really squeezing Noah Thomas out, running with Noah Thomas down the field. This is as good as it gets still. And a lot of times safeties cannot play man coverage. TJ Metcalf, it's all over the film from him, and that's something that you have to be fired up about putting in this Wink Martindale defense.
And again, you kind of talked about it early. You see in that clip, they start to switch their formation. They go, and he's got to kind of be the guy directing the traffic.
Yeah.
That was, again, You look at what Michigan did in 2023, and I always go back to that Washington game and how well they all communicated, led by Mikey Sanderson and Rod Moore. I mean, just the way those guys controlled the field as safeties and nickels, obviously. I think that's what made Michigan elite. And you look at the way Arkansas played defenses, they did vary their formations a fair amount. They'd play with three safeties, occasionally with two, they'd play with one. TJ Metcalf, a guy who was playing, as you kind of pointed out, a variety of those different roles in his comfort level in being able to operate that defense and being able to be where he's supposed to be consistently and being trained, frankly, by an elite defensive coordinator in my mind, and Travis Williams. I love that kind of fit coming over from
Yeah, you love Travis Williams, that's for sure. One other thing that I'll note when I go watch TJ Metcalf is he tackles really well, which is something that Michigan did really, really well in 2023. Not so much in 2024. I mean, you look at guys like Makari Page, a phenomenal career at Michigan, but in 2024, I mean, a 20% missed tackle rate is awfully high. TJ Metcalf, I mean, he was number 4 in the team in tackles for Arkansas, only missed 12%. And a lot of those tackles were in space. I mean, you take a look at this is a guy that wants to fill the run game too. Like he wants to fire downhill and get involved, and he's quick to trigger. And this open field tackle on Ollie Gordon, one of the better running backs in the country, he is not afraid to get his nose dirty in the run game, which is really important. And Dale, secondly, and probably one of my favorite aspects about him as well, is just some nice feel when he's playing some zone and keeping his eyes on the quarterback. And you'll see here, kind of gets a little undisciplined with his eyes at first, firing downhill, lets Rivaldo Fairweather run right behind him. Hey, we're going to get our eyes back. We're not going to panic. Look at the quarterback and go make a play on the football for your teammate, getting a pick. He's a guy that knows how to operate in a lot of different looks, and that's kind of what I love about TJ Metcalf. And talking about his brother real quick, he was a true freshman for Arkansas, did not get a ton of burn, but a guy that was highly sought after out of high school. Hey, file him away. We're starting to develop a lot of youth and a lot of talent in that boundary cornerback spot. Dill, let's get to my guy, Brady Norton. I'm a really big fan of this kid, and it starts with my belief that some of the best transfer portal offensive linemen are guys that have played really good football at the G5 or FCS level and are looking to play at the Power 4 level. Brady Norton's that guy. Was really under-recruited coming out of high school. He was 6'5", 275 pounds, kind of a lean guy who was a really good athlete, put on some weight. Dill, 400 as a redshirt freshman in 2024. Started at left tackle, 444 pass pro opportunities at the left tackle spot, 3 quarterback hurries, 0 sacks. He was the highest graded offensive tackle according to PFF at the FCS ranks. We saw a guy like Evan Link have some real growing pains as a redshirt freshman starting at tackle. Brady Norton didn't have those growing pains. And you get into a little bit of the film of Brady Norton, you want to see him develop a little bit more Power 4 grown man physicality. You'll see a guy like David Bailey get to him a little bit in terms of the physicality when you watch him bump up against Power 4 competition. You can't teach the athlete. It is hard to find, and they got him listed as an interior offensive lineman. Rubbish, in my opinion. Like this kid's playing tag. You can't see a 6'5" guy with the movement skills that he has and stick him on the inside. I think this is a true tackle with elite athleticism. Now all you got to do is, hey, we got to get a little bit more weight on the frame. We got to get a little bit more play strength and physicality to your game. If you can do that in this offseason, there's some real clay to molding a really, really good tackle in Brady Norton. And it might not be immediately. You know, it's a big jump from the FCS to the Big Ten. I think the future of this kid at tackle, it's certainly there. And it could be in 2025 as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd be surprised, frankly, if it was 2025 because I look like the play strength didn't feel like it was there quite yet. Again, you kind of said it. You can't teach the athleticism that Brady Norton has. And if Sherrone Moore looks at him and says, look, I know I can get the weight on this kid. I know that I can get him physically kind of ready to rock and roll at the Power 5 level. Like, who would I be to doubt Sherrone Moore? Because obviously, I mean, he's turned this Michigan program around, I would say, on the basis of developing really physical, talented offensive
and evaluation. Like we kind of talked about this in the episode just a couple hours ago. Look at the transfer portal evals from Sherrone Moore and the staff. They don't miss, man. Like, yeah, maybe they weren't all Americans, but like Ladarius Henderson, Drake Nugent, Olu, Miles Hinton, even Josh Breed was solid. They don't miss on offensive linemen in the portal. If Sherrone Moore's telling me he thinks Brady Norton can play tackle in the Big Ten, like, sign me up. Last thing I'll say, year 3 is normally when we see these offensive linemen kind of develop that grown man strength. Brady Norton, he was a redshirt freshman this year and played very, very well. What does it look? This is not a 4th, 5th year senior. This is a guy that's going into year 3, going to be a redshirt sophomore. What does it look like in year 3? Dill, at the end of the day, you can never have, if you have the opportunity to get a guy in the transfer portal that you think can be a starting tackle, do it all day long. There's going to be a lot of competitive depth on this offensive line. I don't know if you had enough of that this year because we had to replace so many bodies. Kind of take a sneak peek to 2025. Yeah, we're losing some solid players, guys like Miles Hinton. I mean, Andrew Sprague, Frazier, Jake Winner. Like, there are some studs that are coming up through this program. Now you add Brady Norton into the mix and say there's a lot of competitive depth. There is a real reality where Michigan goes into 2025 with 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that they feel comfortable starting on the offensive line. We weren't at that number. In fact, I don't even know if we were at 5 for a decent amount of the season. And I'm not a shot like Evan Link. He probably was not ready to start, but had to. And so I think the number of guys we feel confident about on the offensive line going to be back to what it was in 2023, which I think matters. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.